Bourne Identity did it. James Bond has done it. Most action figure.
John Wick did it, but with a dog.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know about John Wick is that he goes on a murderous spree.
Yeah, because
someone killed his dog.
Same.
That's unbelievable. I'm not watching.
I appreciate that you wore a movie-related T-shirt.
It wasn't necessarily on purpose.
But I'll still take it.
I do own a lot of movie-related.
I mean, I'm a fan of Hocus Pocus, so I have no problem with that. Are you still trying to figure out what the last movie you saw was?
It is, but I'm going to generalize and assume that it was...
I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
And welcome to the inaugural episode of Screen Snark. Screen Snark? Did I get our name right?
Screen Snark.
It
yes.
is Screen Snark.
It's
okay.
Screen Snark, yeah.
That lovely voice is, of course, the one and only Rachel Shank.
Hello, people of the internet.
I am Stormageddon, a.k.a. Matt Storm. Usually I do it in the other order, but I figured I'd change it up if you listen to the other shows I'm on. And our guest this week, our very first guest, is Viktor Devonne.
Hello, Victor.
Why,
welcome.
hello.
For anyone who's followed anything that I post on the internet these days, they would probably be shocked that I had Viktor on a podcast.
Yes.
We cross-promote well.
I have usually referred to Stormageddon as my Liz Smith in that he makes me seem much more famous than I actually am, which is an approximation that Elaine Stritch once said about Liz Smith.
Yeah.
I think Matt Storm has that ability for everybody.
He's a professional fan.
I am. I'm very good at that. I'm very good at fanning.
It's kind of the reason I really want to do this podcast because Stormageddon makes you feel good as a person, just across the board, and it's like, oh yes, I am great. Thank you.
Why? I was just waiting for someone to notice.
Thank you.
Really.
So in kicking things off, Rachel actually thought it'd be a great idea if we went around the room and talked about the most recent movie we saw, and in the effort of talking about more movies and a large variety of movies, we agreed that it wouldn't be the newest movie we saw. It would just be the last thing we watched.
Yeah, not what you saw in the theater, but literally the last movie that your eyeballs took in.
I think streaming has really changed that. Like when what's the last movie that you saw? You sort of have to clarify now.
Yeah.
Because streaming services are finally catching up to like, oh, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
And now I finally can.
Yeah, and not to be like a person who's like piracy, but piracy also like
has changed the world.
Anything you can imagine, you can watch now. Like you just have to be okay with like cookies.
Well, yes. And also there's a surprising amount if you're willing to watch it slightly altered. Either you can watch a lot of film on YouTube.
Oh, right, because they just put it in a weird frame.
They put it in like a box.
Because then the bots can't
change the
catch
audio
it.
ever so slightly. I am not suggesting that that's what one does.
We here at Screen Snark do not condone that behavior.
Well, it's funny.
It's not available on DVD though. I say it's open game.
Yeah.
If the production company has not made
if they won't release it, it's a different story.
If they haven't put it on any accessible kind of thing, like game over.
Yeah, I someone who wasn't me used to pirate a lot of movies, but once you marry an actress, a working actress nonetheless, they kind of encourage you not to steal money from the places that give them jobs. But I do watch a lot of stuff on streaming. Now, if it was the most recent thing I watched, regardless of format, it would be season 2, episode 2 of Riverdale, but that's not what we're here to talk about.
I mean, television is becoming more and more like film all the time, so it's almost a lead-in.
It's finally acceptable again for like Oscar-winning actors to take on lead roles, as long. Well, I mean, I was gonna say as long as it's on like a non-regular network channel, but even that's not true anymore.
Yeah.
No, even Netflix has like big name actors on it.
We used to do that all the time. Like I'm right now. On my way here from New Jersey. I was listening to an audio book of Betty Davis's last autobiography. It's not actually narrated by her, but it's narrated by someone who does a good approximation without it sounding cheesy. Betty Davis was on a show called Hotel.
Right.
And that wasn't considered a step below. Like, we've always had, like, major stars on TV.
Or as my my theater director when I was in college would say, as a punishment phrase, like a thing that you didn't want to do. He's like, what you're doing is televisional bullshit. You need to not. You need to be playing in action. Like, it was nuts. But now watching things like The Handmaid's Tale or Stranger Things that have like this really like high, amazing production value, like, you get it. You get it, actors. You make that. You make that scratch. You make that content money.
And then it can also create like Jessica Lange had this resurgence of popularity because she did an HBO version of Grey Gardens. That is directly where Ryan Murphy found her for American Horror Story.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then she did 4 seasons of that, reintroduced her to an entirely different audience, and now can do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Balenciaga. Jesus.
So I'll start because I'm going to have very little to say, as both of you have not seen it yet. But the last movie I saw was Deadpool 2. Saw it in theaters. And actually I was very excited about it because it's the first movie I feel like that's been billed as a comedy first and a superhero movie second.
Nice.
Like even Thor Ragnarok, it's still the MCU and part of the Marvel Universe. And it was funny as hell, but and I consider it a comedy, but it still felt like its genre was Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Whereas Deadpool didn't feel like it was billed that way at all. And it wasn't. It was a lot of fun. It was really funny. It's the same nonsense they did in the first one and then some. But my only problem is there are so many great moments where the butt of the joke is related to things that are spoilers. So I literally can't talk about it.
Right.
Like stuff having to do with X-Force, stuff having to do with Cable, the main antagonist, everything. So I'll just say that it was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to movies, especially superhero movies, which I do like and I haven't gotten bored of yet, to continue to lean into genres more and less just be generic action movie.
Yeah.
What is your rule for how long spoilers can be?
I mean, the movie came out as of when we're recording a week ago.
Right.
But I mean
there are some spoilers that are like now legendary. You can't talk about Psycho or Citizen Kane without that sort of being part of it. Not to necessarily compare Deadpool 2 to Psycho or Citizen Kane, but I'm sure it's someone's
I'm sure Deadpool would appreciate that comparison, though. No, I mean, I'm someone who, if I get spoiled, I don't get that mad. Like, I mean,
the level of the spoiler too.
Right. I mean, like, so for The Force Awakens, the beginning of the new trilogy of Star Wars, someone had spoiled for my wife that Han Solo died, and so then Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The movie's 2 years old.
Yeah, I think, like, honestly, I'm going to say, even now, Infinity War just came out, like, a month ago. I'm like, I think it's fine at this point to talk that game and be like, Iron Bruce is bae and Thor with new hammer is daddy. Like, that's my spoiler about that movie. But, like, I think at this point, we have such easy access to movies that if you... I'm not saying that people have to be, like, on their shit and see movies right when they come out, but, like, the ease of access to it kind of...
I mean, also for me personally, I'm less upset about spoilers if it's not something I was really looking forward to. Like, I mentioned earlier that I just started watching Riverdale Season 2 because it just came to Netflix as of when we were recording. But it had, it had run already on CW, but I had fallen behind. But I didn't care about being spoiled for that because, like, that's junk food to me.
It's low. It's low.
Low stakes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't as worried about that. But something like Deadpool, the reason why I don't want to spoil it is there's a major reveal of a character I had no idea was in the film, and the marketing kept that character a secret.
Ooh, nice.
And it was a fan favorite character. So for me, it was a big deal. When I saw him, and Deadpool's reaction, because he can break the fourth wall, was literally my reaction if I were in the movie.
Nice.
So it was just a lot of fun.
And that's an achievement in of itself.
Right.
For a movie studio, especially of a film of that echelon, to get that in without anybody knowing, that's impressive.
That's amazing.
Then you should actually honor them by not spoiling.
Right. And also, like, there are major shifts in the story that are completely void from the trailer too, which is great because that's the thing I hate about modern trailers is they give you the essentially the entire narrative of the movie in the trailer. And it's like, why?
Oh, yeah.
You say that, but have you ever watched old trailers? Like, have you ever watched movies from, like, 90s and earlier? they just didn't care.
Yeah.
They didn't show it in context necessarily.
Right.
But, like, if you watch, like, I remember when the advent of DVD was a big deal, and, like, one of the big cheap special features was, the original theatrical trailer.
Yeah.
And we'd watch it and we'd be like, they tell you exactly what happens.
Yeah, why would you go see the movie?
Like they died, and you know that they died now. Like, it's kind of
hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, it's like when Batman vs. Superman came out and they revealed Doomsday being, like, the main bad guy at the, you don't know why he's there, but you see that in the trailer. I was like, well, I know the story. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't need to go see
because
this
that's
movie.
part of our culture.
Yeah.
And again,
If you know who Doomsday, but that's also don't you think that's maybe like a wink to the fans who already do know that?
Sure,
Yeah.
but this character could have this character had been featured in other X-Men properties. This character could have easily been in the trailers and everyone would have been, okay, cool, I'm going to go see it because of that. But they didn't do that. I think part of it is also Ryan Reynolds has strong reins on this project because after the success of the first one, Fox has pretty much gone, yeah, whatever. I mean, considering the marketing
make
he
us
did.
more money, Ryan Reynolds, please.
That's pretty much what it's become. But anyway, so I highly recommend it. I really dug it. And I think that, like I said, I think what I like about it is there's enough. It's a good comedy because there are enough dramatic moments to actually make you sad, but the funny is still really funny. Also, I'm a sucker for, like, schoolyard poop and fart humor, which it has enough of that it's not obnoxious. So all in all, it gets a check plus from me. I really dug it, and I'll probably want to see it again. I definitely still had problems with it because I am a person who's not stupid, and stupid writing tropes Deadpool is not even immune to.
Yeah.
But beyond that, again, I think it's definitely worth seeing if you want to laugh.
Yeah, if you had to describe this movie using only 3 words, what 3 words would they be?
I'll have to rhyme.
No, I'm going to steal these.
We're not freestyle
I'm going to
rapping,
steal
don't
these
worry.
words from Bunny Buxom because she said it, but I agree. Cable is daddy.
All right, so that's your summation.
Yeah, that's my summation.
Love it.
That's what I got.
A modern day Roger Ebert.
Yeah, that's
And
me.
Cable literally is daddy because he's Thanos in the other Marvel movie.
That's true. Anyway.
Beleaguered sigh at the existence of Josh Brolin, then he gets 2 good things in a row.
He's very funny. Well, I saw him do an interview with Ryan Reynolds, and he's actually quite funny, which, I'm not necessarily surprised, but it's cool to see.
No.
Because he could just have easily been a stick in the mud in both those movies.
I'm failing to remember what else he's done. The only thing I can think of is he did that W movie.
Yeah.
He also was in Men in Black. He played the younger Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
Almost said James Earl Jones, not the same thing.
Very close.
Very close. Practically
have you
the
ever
same.
seen them in the same room?
He was also in the terrible Jonah Hex movie.
Oh, yeah, that was... Ooh.
Which was
I
a
didn't even
DC.
know they made a Jonah Hex movie.
They did.
Yeah,
it was a DC failure. It was
him and Megan Fox?
yes, and it was either right before or right after Green Lantern. So it was like when DC was taking off from the Batman, the newer Batmans,
Right.
but hadn't found its footing yet.
Yeah. Which
And they're like,
still
what
looking
properties
for.
are cheap?
Pretty
There we
much.
go.
That's probably what they did. Yeah. All right. Well, enough about the movie I've seen. Rachel, what was the most recent movie you saw?
I very recently sat my partner down to watch My Fair Lady for the first time.
Their first time or your first time?
His first time. Yeah, I just bought a new bicycle, and while we were assembling this bike, I was like, oh, she needs a name. What's it gonna be? And as, like, the wheel was being, like, twisted on with an Allen wrench, I was like, I think she's an Eliza. I think she's Eliza Doolittle. So my bike is now named Eliza Doolittle, and my sweet angel partner was like, I don't understand. What is this? And I'm like, you have not seen My Fair Lady. We are watching it right fucking now. And I showed him My Fair Lady, and he was like, that was fine. I love that movie though.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with that movie. I was in that musical in college, and I was like never so happy to
Were
be
you
like
Eliza?
no, I was just a chorus person. It was like an equity production. So someone who's actually very talented and good and had an equity card was Eliza Doolittle, and I was totally in love with the man who played Henry Higgins. But I still love that movie. It's Freddie Einsford Hill is a piece of fucking shit, and I hate him so goddamn much. No, you're not romantic. You're a fucking stalker, Freddie. You're a goddamn stalker.
But really, tell us how you actually feel.
I love that movie so much, but all the men in it are just garbage.
I mean, that shocks me, knowing
It's
how men
fucking
are.
garbage.
That's a shocker.
Well,
So I'm not someone who's seen My Fair Lady either in theater
so good.
or the movie. So
if you had seen it in a theater, you would have had to have taken a break because it was one of those movies that didn't have intermission.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the reels weren't big enough. So they would actually do like Roadhouse air viewings of these. And
So how would you describe the plot of My Fair Lady to someone who has never seen it? Because I think that'll be fun for the listeners.
Okay. So the story sort of follows the trajectory of these two human beings. Professor Henry Higgins, who is a linguist and like an expert of like of English and the human language, and he's like a real like piece of shit about proper English, and he like rails about how English people don't know how to speak English, and he, through happenstance, meets this young Cockney woman named Eliza Doolittle, and she's like, "I'm gonna sell you flowers. I'm gonna do a thing. I'm dirty and I wash my face and hands before I come and did." And so they enter a bargain that he can teach her to speak like a lady in that very proper English and take her to an embassy ball, and if she passes like the radar of the upper echelons, then like he's succeeded in like this bet that he's made with his buddy Colonel Pickering, and Eliza Doolittle can get a job in a flower shop instead
You've
of
seen
selling
this
flowers.
parodied.
So I've not seen it parodied. I saw the Pygmalion, which is the theater version.
It's George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion with music.
Oh, right, and so I've seen the actual Pygmalion recently. I had seen it because a friend of my wife's was in the production, and so we went to see it, which was wonderful. So now I do know the plot.
Yes.
There we go.
So take that plot, put it through the lens of the 1960s with Audrey Hepburn and Rex Harrison. Absolutely delightful. I love that movie so much. I love it. I would totally watch it again and again and again.
And if you had to give it a 3-word review, how would you give that a 3-word review?
Eliza's my bitch.
All right.
She is my
That's aggressive, but I like
apologies for the language, but like she's my ride or die.
Got it.
Like not like
Not how Henry means it.
No, you gutter snipe. Fuck you, Henry Higgins. I'm gonna punch you in the gut. You leave Eliza alone.
She
Let her have her murder fantasies.
That's true. She does have a whole murder fantasy.
I forgot about
in the
that
movie?
murder fantasy.
Because at one point she gets so mad at him.
good.
She gets so mad at him. She sings a whole song.
Oh, yeah.
About killing him?
About winning the bet and then having him executed by a firing squad.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That would never fly in a modern movie. There's no way they would let someone do that.
Well, it doesn't even actually happen.
Yeah.
She says
Right.
it very
It's-
sweetly.
yeah.
I'm sure.
She's like, one day I'll be famous, I'll be proper and prim.
Yeah. It's worth noting also that Audrey Hepburn did not sing.
No. That
No.
was
The Marnie Nixon. Who's
Yeah.
also famous for dubbing most of West Side Story's
Really?
Maria, and also Deborah Kerr in The King and I.
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know
She's known
that.
for many of
She's
them.
the real singing in the rain angel.
Was that common back then to hire an actress who could do the acting and then dub the singing?
Unless they wanted someone to get press for how well they sang unexpectedly, or risk that they couldn't sing at all.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They were less worried about that with supporting roles, but they were definitely more concerned. And also, like, depending on, I mean, Natalie Wood in West Side Story was a name, so they wanted that.
Right, they wanted the
needed
name.
that. She also wasn't Latina, which is
Well,
Well, that's a whole other host of issues with West Side Story.
And then, Audrey Hepburn wasn't British either.
Yeah. No.
So it's all a lot of different accents. And also, Marnie Nixon not only has to sing like Audrey Hepburn speaks, but she has to sing like Audrey Hepburn speaks Cockney and in proper English. Which is difficult. And there's actually 2 or 3 songs where she goes both.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
it's what a gem, Marnie Nixon. What a goddess for sure. What was I gonna say? I had a thought. West Side Story and Natalie Wood. I was working as a tour guide, and I got to tell the story about how Natalie Wood got the part in West Side Story. She was dating, who was the guy who ruined the Oscars last year? What was his name? Guy who opened the envelope and read.
Oh, Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty, thank you. I was like, who is that guy?
Yeah.
I was like, the guy who ruined the Oscars. He didn't ruin the Oscars, but
I love that's his legacy. That's so sad.
That is sad.
Of all the
so
things.
He was Dick Tracy, guys.
He's great. Warren Beatty's great. But he was dating Natalie Wood, and Warren Beatty was called in to read for the part of Tony, and he wanted to read with somebody
what a terrible casting that would have been.
And he wanted to read with somebody he knew,
Also
so he was
dubbed.
like,
That actor was dubbed.
Natalie, please come read with me for this audition, and they ended up liking Natalie more than Warren Beatty. So she got the job because she essentially was like, I'll come read lines for you. It's fine.
That happens every now and then.
I've heard that, yeah. Well, that's like the famous story about how Harrison Ford was a repair guy on the set or was working as a stagehand for Star Wars, and they had him sit in to read as Han, and they ended up liking him or something. Yeah. He'd only done American Graffiti before that, but he was helping around the space and ended up getting the gig or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, Victor.
Yes.
Before we get into you, why don't you tell us a little bit about the last movie you saw?
Well, okay. So, admittedly, I watch a lot of films on streaming. I have Hulu and Netflix and Shudder and Amazon Prime and a bunch of other things that I share with my husband, so that we can watch television digitally. And so I watch a lot of movies that I haven't seen either before or that I haven't seen in a very long time. And a film that I saw recently, which I'm going to go on the record and say it was not the very last film that I saw, but it's the last film that I can name that I saw. It was called House of the Devil, which is a modern film made to look like a 70s horror film.
Interesting.
Down to the way that the lenses that they chose, the cinematography that they chose, the typesetting, the acting choices, the costuming, everything was extraordinarily authentic. You really did expect it to be sort of that sorority horror sort of situation. It takes place predominantly in a Gothic townhouse / mini mansion. Always good. That makes for excellent cinematography already.
Sure. Yes.
I say as a man who wanted to grow up in the Clue house.
I mean, who didn't though? If it came with Tim Curry, I'd be signed up. If he comes with the house, I'm in.
In fact, forget the house. Just give me Tim Curry.
What a buddy comedy that would be.
Right?
No major actors of name are in it. And it is about a young woman who is in need of extra money so that she can move out of her shitty living conditions. She has a roommate that just has sex and is inconsiderate all the time.
Wow. That's lame.
And so she finds this really great place at the very beginning, and she's like, yeah, I can afford it. And she can't afford it.
Right.
So she goes to the Quad and looks to see what kind of babysitting opportunities there may be or odd jobs, and she finds an advertisement with one of those little tear-off numbers saying, we need you for this very specific situation. It's taking care of an elderly woman. So immediately I was thinking that it was this is going to turn into some sort of burnt offering situation, which I don't know if you've ever seen.
I've not.
But it is an excellent movie of its time with Karen Black and Bette Davis. I definitely recommend it. But it actually is not quite in that direction. But it is this mysterious house that she gets to after, I'll tell you, a half hour of nothing happening. We go to the pizza place with her and her friend. They just talk about it. She has a couple of phone calls with the guy who owns the house. They just keep disconnecting. But for some reason, he's always able to get back in touch with her. He's always able to call her back. And she uses, payphones. But somehow he's able to call her back on the payphone. So we're like, ooh, this is weird.
This is right, of course. It's supposed to be spooky.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's violent. I mean, there is some murder. some unexpected moments. We do meet. There's a great scene with the lady of the house, who is the man who hires her, his wife, who is very impeccably dressed, and she has her furs, and they're going out. It's an eclipse. They're going to a party or some rich person's viewing of the eclipse. And it was funny, actually. I recently watched this with my husband, and I was like, "Oh, we just had an eclipse. How timely!" And so she's there, and it's like, oh, we see angles. Like, is someone looking from outside the house? It's weird, and then it gets a little occulty.
Right.
As it's, I wouldn't say it's sort of like a Satanic Panic movie, but it definitely is of that style choice. Like, it's like of that, weird random ritual shit. Satan. Like, and without getting too far into it, because I think that's only like the first hour. It's paced odd, but it's paced really 70s. Like, I mean, I have to say,
that if they're going for an authentic feel, it sounds
and it's
like
not a slasher flick in the same way. Like, she doesn't like open a door and like all the dead babysitters come out. Like, yes, there is some murder and there is some like the big showdown scenes when like she becomes the final girl. Like, we get to that.
Yeah.
But and it ends with room for a sequel if they chose to.
Okay.
I can't say that it absolutely would make sense. But I mean,
that hasn't stopped horror movies before.
No. I was entertained by it. I was not raised as a horror movie fan. I was afraid of them.
Oh, me too.
Me too.
The first horror movie that I ever saw a piece of was, I think, Poltergeist 2. Which I was out with my grandparents, and they dropped me home, and my older sisters were watching a rental copy of it, and I wasn't expected home as early as I was, so they were all just watching this R-rated horror movie, and I sat in on it. There's this moment where the mother sees her daughter through the reflection and the glass all shatters. I haven't revisited the film, so I might be misremembering it. And I ran the fuck out of that room. Ran all the way up to my sister's room, underneath the covers. She turned the music on to some 90s slow jams, and I still was like, I can still hear it. No, I couldn't. But it scared the shit out of me. As an adult, and I say this on occasion with folk, horror movies have lost some of their hold on me because I have so many grown-up problems. And unless we're talking about the uncertainty of humanity, like a home invasion situation where it's real people acting fucked up, I'm taking your lead that I can swear.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. If this doesn't have a parental advisory warning on it, then we can't put it out.
I can't be on a thing that is safe for families.
That's
like,
fair.
Are we kidding? Like, I'm not safe for families.
That's true.
I can always tell when someone hasn't listened to my podcast if they ask.
Yeah.
So knowing that I have bills and that I have concerns and that I just have real life, like, bring it. Like, go ahead. Like, slasher movies, I mean, hit or miss. I don't love torture porn.
Me, I don't. I have no patience
even
for that.
if I'm going to appreciate something like Saw, I have to take it from the point of the same direction as like Seven or something like that, where it's like, oh, it's this. He's trying to make a message. It might be a shitty message, but it's it's like the last one of Saw that I saw. That I had seen was like he was the lead character who was torturing everyone was doing it because he didn't get insurance, so all the people were connected in that way. Like one of those situations, like how do you all know each other? It's like because he's dying of cancer and his family is enacting revenge and all that. I'm like, oh, okay. But since I'm not in that situation, I can view it objectively and not feel
terrified?
Yeah. And paranormal, sure.
My true objection with horror movies, starting from maybe like the late 80s into the 90s, was that unnecessary jump scare. Like, where it's like, we're in the dark hallway. it's dark and it's spooky. And then there's a cat. And it's like, fuck you with the cat. Fuck you with the cat.
Yeah.
I'm angry at the cat. But I think that horror movies are now becoming a little more like nuanced and interesting and like it's weird to say dreadful as like a compliment for a movie, but like that dread.
Full of dread, yeah.
Like very like like the Babadook where it's just like, oh, everything it's bad here.
Yeah.
And like I'm starting to get into horror movies for like what is being made in like the modern sense.
Yeah, horror movies for me were never a thing I seeked out. I mean, I like the Evil Dead series, but it's also because after the first one, it's not really horror
farce.
anymore.
Like,
you know, the first one was the closest to horror, and even that one was barely. But beyond, and like the early Jason and Freddy movies I watched, because now as an adult, like I can look at it and go, this is ridiculous.
yeah, it's a lot of camp.
But yeah, and like jump scare kind of stuff, I don't mind if I'm watching with someone else. I found that like, because I'm also really into video games, if I'm watching a horror video game with jump scares, but I'm watching a YouTuber play it, or I'm watching it with, like I'm playing with a friend.
Jump scares are hard on a tablet.
Yeah.
Like, they're hard to be as effective. Like, I can imagine if that was on in a theater screen, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah. And so, like, doing it with somebody else, then I feel safer. Like, I played Resident Evil 2, which for the time was very scary, with one of my best friends at the time, Matt. Yes, one of my best friends is named Matt. You know, it was confusing growing up. It's fine.
It was just when you weren't talking to yourself.
Right, exactly. But I couldn't play that game because it terrified me. But I could sit with him while he played, and then we'd both freak out when something happened or when there was a jump scare.
Video games were relentless with that.
Yeah.
With like, House of the Dead or Resident Evil or
Silent Hill.
There's the major
Big jump scare stuff. But that was also, I felt like with some of those games, they earned that. Something that better movies did as well. Like, the atmosphere called for it. And like that, you sat in the atmosphere long enough. It wasn't like action, 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 quiet hallway, jump scare, more action, action, action. It's like if you're in this place where it's quiet and low volume for a long time, and then there's a jump scare, I feel like something like that's earned.
I can't imagine people playing those games like with headphones, though.
People do.
I know they
could
do.
Never
Yeah.
do.
In fact, like a lot of movies where they show gamers, like in their major situations, usually with like
headphones,
and like I don't know how you do it, like the ambient noise or
and
I can't.
No.
I can't.
Nope. If you could give this movie a 3-word review, Victor, what would it be?
Nostalgic, not reductive.
All right.
I'll check it out.
Both of us had jokey answers, and look at you being like a real movie critic.
Where's it available?
I watched it on Shudder.
Okay. I was gonna ask, do you enjoy Shudder as a service?
Yeah, I've not used it.
I'll be very honest with you there. Shudder, because of the variety that is in the horror genre, like there are sub-genres, there's a lot of Shudder that I will never watch.
Yeah.
Right.
They also have a great number of great meaning immense of Italian horror and a lot of films that are like from that you wouldn't normally see like on the USA Network in the 90s.
Yeah.
They every now and then will throw like they must have gotten like the Criterion sign off for the month, and some of the choices that they make for what counts as a horror movie are interesting, and I like that because then it shows that no, horror doesn't. Again, it can be full of dread. It can be like that feeling. Like Rosemary's Baby makes sense on there just as much as The House on Haunted Hill starring Vincent Price, which right now is ridiculous, but wonderful. I just saw the original 13 Ghosts. I had no idea how ridiculous that was.
The original 13 Ghosts is pretty ridiculous.
But then also throw in like Hostel or something like that. So I usually go right to the paranormal stuff with that. Every now, I mean, I enjoy an occult film.
Yeah.
But I really don't enjoy seeing like bone marrow in my films.
That's fair.
So if
It's legit.
yeah, like I'm good. Like I'm good. And also I don't love a lot of the like misogyny for the sake of misogyny in horror.
Same. Well, it's funny, like, there are moments in Deadpool 1 and 2 where watching it because it's R-rated, like, there's gore that I can't watch. Like, I'll look away. It's brief usually, but there are definitely things that are just a little too much
But they
even
have
for me.
license to, like, chop off arms if they want to.
Yes. And they do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember watching Watchmen and thinking that, like, there's that one scene where she, like, pulls somebody's arm and like it cracks in half, and I'm like,
oh.
I would not expecting that.
Yeah.
Speaking of bone marrow, because I'm pretty sure we saw like bone.
I think so.
Great.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I could watch like bone snapping and like
just
gore
all day
and
long.
guts and all day. The moment someone is like, "I'm going to poke you with a needle" in the movie, I'm like, turn it away, turn it away, turn it off, turn it. I can't. Like
that's intimate though.
Yeah, I'm so
like
I'm just terrified of needles as like a person. Like every time I have to go like get blood work done, I'm like, excuse me, I have to lie down and you have to let me sing show tunes while this is happening. Because otherwise I'm a freak out. So thank you.
You have a special note on your chart.
Yeah. It's true. My primary care provider, when I told her, was like, must lie supine, will sing show tunes.
Excellent.
It's on my chart now.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've gotten to the point where as long as I look away, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But I still don't like them. But let's talk about you a little bit, Victor. So, for those who don't know, Victor is a burlesque producer, performer, movie aficionado.
Brown rad human being.
Yeah, that too. Before we get into the burlesque stuff that you do, I'm just curious. So, you've been writing on, for those who follow you on the social medias, see that you do like 2-sentence movie reviews usually, but like 10 movies in a row, and usually it's a variety of stuff. Yeah. Like you do a list.
Yeah.
Is that a thing that you've always done, where you just kind of review movies?
That sounds like a leading question.
It is. I've done this before.
Yes. When I was a young warthog, I would write.
He was a young warthog.
I would write movie reviews and fan fiction and my own additions to television and movies that I would see.
Nice.
I had several titles because I couldn't stick to one. Let's see. Okay, I had the Chatterbox at one point, which would discuss. It was like my version of Entertainment Weekly, ripped from the headlines, as it were. And then I had the Comment, COMMENT. Which I actually typed on a typewriter, and then because I wanted that font.
Yeah.
And then would Xerox.
Nice.
Or photocopy.
Excellent.
And then what did I move on to? This term came to me at one point, and it was diverse intersection. And I said, that's the name of my... You know how most people are like, that's a band name, or that's an email address. No, that was for some reason my... newspaper, my magazine. These usually came out around... I was a very lonely child. These usually came out every 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
And they would be anything that I saw. So I remember going to the movie theater and seeing Liar Liar starring Jim Carrey. And I went home and I wrote a review on it. And it was just... It was not an analysis.
Yeah.
Now I was so focused on trying to be... I wanted to sell out before I got there. So I was super involved in using like the buzzwords that you would read in magazines.
Right, of course.
That, like the sensationalist, or like I don't know, it wasn't authentic. I wasn't my true authentic self at 12, unlike everybody else.
Right, of course. Everyone else was, but you weren't.
But I did that for a great number of years. I did movie and music reviews.
Have you ever thought about, now that you're doing a million other things, to also do some kind of blog or web blog, as it were?
I've considered doing like Patreon exclusives or something like that. But actually, one thing that I do want to do, and I actually have some people lined up for it, so I'll announce it here as an exclusive if you'd like.
Sure. I can't promise when it'll actually air, but sure.
I can't promise when I'll actually get to it.
All right, excellent. Perfect. Match made in heaven.
I want to do a series of audio commentaries where me and another burlesque performer watch films on reasonable volume, but not like where it's at the forefront, and we just talk about what we're watching. And usually speaking, there are going to be movies that are in directly responsible for our our cultural viewpoint of what burlesque is. So that includes things. So Anya Keister and I are going to watch Moulin Rouge.
Of course.
So I have that plotted out. Broody Valentino and I are probably going to watch Cabaret.
Shocking.
Well,
knowing Broody, that's shocking to me.
well, because what was happening, I was like, I made a list, and I included the movie Burlesque. And I'm curious about. No one volunteered for that one.
Gee, I wonder why.
I mean, I think it would be fun.
I think it would.
See, I didn't understand why nobody. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Now maybe you have someone to do that.
So I figured So basically, we're just gonna watch the movie on like a tablet or something. We're gonna have the thing. We're gonna talk about it. Is it going to be like a regular viewing of it? No, because the whole point is that we know this movie backwards and front.
Right.
I don't want anybody seeing a movie for the first time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's not the idea.
So I want it to be something that also resonates with them. But I wanted to at least start with and not just do like movies we liked, but movies that actually frame where we are as burlesque performers.
Well, that leads me to, I was going to ask, has film and cinema affected your burlesque?
Sure.
Yeah?
I mean, anybody who's listened to We Burlesque, the podcast, which is I
was a guest on that.
Yes, you are.
Episode 9, I believe.
I think you are correct. I come from, you can take a shot, everyone. I come from Iraqi horror.
Yep, he mentions that quite a few times.
I do. Well, because it's my fabric.
Yeah, you first started like wearing makeup and dressing up in a burlesque style for that show.
And that movie has a whole burlesque sequence.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't know that at the time. I didn't know watching 42nd Street or Gypsy or any of these films from... or any musical, frankly.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
Invariably has a show scene.
Yeah.
Where it's like White Christmas or like all of these movies have like those scenes.
Yeah.
And this is before like I saw some of the heavier ones like Cabaret or what have you. But so I didn't know that that's what that was called. I didn't know any of the history.
Sure.
I didn't know who Lily St. Cyr was. I didn't know who Sally Rand was. But I learned about it because I would also watch a lot of old movies, whether they were MGM or Warner Brothers, and they reference those people like they're their contemporaries.
Yeah.
Because they were. So it's not weird for Pal Joey to have Rita Hayworth singing a song like Zip, which is her interpretation of what it's like to be interviewing Gypsy Rose Lee. It's the whole song.
Yeah.
And so you learn about it, and then I got into Rocky Horror, and I got into myself and what it is to be an older, wiser queer warthog. And then from there, I was asked to do a show. I had a co-director at that time. We did a 20-minute amateur set. I developed the character Viktor Devonne, whatever that meant. I heavily borrowed from the accent of Joel Grey and Ellen Cumming from their interpretations of the MC in Cabaret.
Yeah.
I stopped doing the accent about a year and a half into burlesquing because it's a pain in the ass.
Hard.
Yeah.
I was never good at it, and it was impeding.
Right. You found who you were beyond putting on an accent.
I needed it. I was wrong.
I've always been of the belief that like burlesque is at its heart just an accentuation of who you are as a person. Like my burlesque persona, Charles Stunning, she operates like from a high level of joy, and that's not a level that I'm at all the time. Like I'm a very joyful person, but like getting to accentuate that side of me and be like, I'm a sparkly cupcake narwhal, like that whole thing is like, it's like a beautiful like facet that is like reflected and like prismed out through the medium. And I think if you're like putting on like too much of that persona, you're losing some of that vulnerability that makes burlesque so wonderful.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, some people get along very well with it. It's the same reason like certain actors and actresses have very private lives and we only ever see them at like 11.
Yeah.
And that's true of also billions of years ago as well.
Yeah.
And you can also tell it's every once in a while. I mean, I'm a big fan of old Hollywood memoirs. I just finished. I'm in the middle of Mae West's. I'm an Audible subscriber, so
I
same.
love
every
Audible.
month I just say, okay, what do I got? So I've listened to both of the early '80s Joan Rivers right before her husband died and right after her husband died.
Oh, wow.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Lauren Bacall's is really good. I was reminded that I had to, because she recently trended, Rita Moreno, speaking of West Side Story, she recently trended because she was talking on Wendy Williams about dating Marlon Brando at one point. And what was Marlon Brando and Elvis Presley.
What a combination.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course Wendy says, like, so who was the better lover? And she was like, you're asking me to compare Marlon Brando, this great sex god, to Elvis. I mean, he was all right.
Excellent.
But basically, she's now like hashtag everyone's grandma, like that kind of
Very
thing right
good.
now. So I'm interested in listening to her audiobook and getting her story, especially being a Latina working in Hollywood at that era. I mean, every era, but that era specifically. I'm looking forward to that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What it's like.
I find myself being more obsessed with audiobooks lately. I mean, I'm a podcaster and I like listening to podcasts, so I like listening to people talk, but I just finished...
It's commuting. It's a part of commuting. Yeah.
Right. But I also like autobiographies because I like to hear the person speak in their voice. And so I just finished Jim Gaffigan's new book. I've been on a comedy kick.
What's that? Dad is Fat?
Dad is Fat.
Yeah.
And then H. John Benjamin, who's the voice of Archer and Bob from Bob's Burgers, and a comedic actor who's worked for a long time. And then also Amy Poehler's book.
I would actually love to hear his audiobook.
His audiobook, it's called Failure is an Option, and it's phenomenal.
Because he has that voice that is both so everyday and the sexiest thing in the world.
Well, and the funny thing about it is he all of the characters he's played are all just minor variations on his speaking voice. Like Archer's very heightened, Bob is a little more low key. But like I had forgotten that he grew up Jewish, not super religious, but Jewish, so he talks about Judaism a little bit. He makes some great jokes. It's just, it was a fun listen. And I like comedian autobiographies also, especially those who have been in movies and TV, because I just feel like I get more from it. Like Amy Poehler talked about being in Baby Mama, talked about being close with Tina Fey and being on SNL, also talked about Parks and Rec. You know, Jim Gaffigan, of course, is talking about his family for the most part. Like, it's about his comedy, but for the most part, it's about having 5 kids. But that kind of stuff is really fascinating to me because all of these people have been in TV and movies, and I like to hear them talk about things that aren't that, which is very podcast. Which is very, talking about things from when they were growing up and personal stuff. It's almost like, a film autobiography for me because I'm an auditory person. I like listening to things. And so I've always kind of gone that route. And so now I'm starting to discover other, like actually the next one is I want to get the audiobook of Carrie Ellis, his Princess Bride diary that he released, where he he did a memoir all about the Princess Bride, and he reads the audiobook, and I love him. I'm a fan of a lot of his work, and Princess Bride is one of my favorite movies, and he talks about stories on the set, about becoming good friends with Andre the Giant, and like just all this great and sad and troubling stuff, because it was a production that had issues and and famously had stuff going on, and it took a lot of time, and so...
Have you listened to any of the Carrie Fisher ones?
No, but I want to. I've heard they're very good.
Yeah.
Her last one, The Princess Diarist, I listened...
Does she read it?
She does.
Good.
Excellent.
And it includes portions from her diary during her relationship with Harrison Ford.
Wow.
And her daughter, Billie Lourd, reads it.
Amazing.
It's a little spooky.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Carrie Fisher. I had listened to Wishful Drinking a couple years ago, and then when she passed, I immediately, like everybody else probably did, either watched a movie that she was in, or read a book that she wrote, or did something else that she contributed to this culture. And I went to Audible, and I was like, it wasn't on the height of my list, Princess Diarist, because I'm like, Star Wars memoir, meh. I mean, I know, like, but I also knew that it was her current voice, or her then current voice. Her then current voice was fucking hysterical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, her interview with Gary the dog, promoting The Force Awakens, will go down in history as one of the greatest in the world.
She is an incredible person.
Like, I remember Gary falling asleep and the interviewer saying, like, I have never had an interview where the person fell asleep. And Gary immediately goes, that you know of!
Amazing.
But the Princess Diarist is very good. It's very vulnerable. vulnerable. You learn a little bit about, and it doesn't. I sort of wonder what Harrison thinks about all. My BFF Harrison thinks about all of it, but I can't imagine, especially now, that he'd be like, "Yeah, no, I probably was a dick."
I mean, he seems kind of more aware of himself than he's ever seemed to be in the public eye before. Like, I saw this great clip of him for Entertainment Weekly, the new actor whose name escapes me playing Han Solo in the Solo story, was doing an interview, and Harrison comes up behind him and just puts his hands on his shoulder and goes, "You're in my chair." And like, he jumps up and they talk, and like, it was a very kind and sweet moment. And he was there with Ron Howard. And so I feel like now he's more aware of the influence he's had and this kind of larger than life thing he's done.
I mean, also they were having like private life during this monumental film that, again, no one expected to be monumental.
Correct.
And they talk about it as like the effort was so minimal for the first film, and then they talk about Empire, and it's just like, it was like so different.
Well, right, because they knew how big it was by that point. Every time Mark Hamill talks about those movies, he's always just like, we had no idea what we were making, not a clue. We thought...
And the movies that try so hard usually fail tremendously.
Right.
In some way. Like, once Pirates of the Caribbean was such a success, every time they tried to do anything after that at that level, never.
No, and I think that's something that is important to recognize when making movies. Like, sometimes you have this lightning in a bottle situation that cannot be recreated.
Yeah.
Like, look at the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Like,
did you like it? Did you like Ghostbusters?
So I haven't seen the new one yet.
The new one,
but I want to.
I enjoyed. It was fun, but I would have liked it regardless of the connection to the property. That's how I feel about a lot of reboots.
Yeah.
Like, but even
I had no real
even
connection to the
original
material.
Ghostbuster, like, they tried to recreate with Ghostbusters 2, and
it just doesn't work the same.
Bad, and that's how I feel about, like, this corporate machine that makes movies, where it's like, this one made a lot of money, let's make 8 more of them. It's like, no, let's not make 8 more of them.
I mean, that's
like,
the whole Transformers franchise.
Yeah. Oh boy.
And which,
I
like,
have zero interest in watching it.
No, it's unintelligible.
See, but for
they
me,
just look sharp and pointy and ugly. Like, it didn't look like a pretty movie.
the unfortunate truth for me is I grew up with the Transformers, and when they got Peter Cullen, who's the famous voice of Optimus Prime, to do him in the movies, I was very excited. And those few moments when he's on screen speaking in that voice, like, I feel a connection to my childhood in the first one, but then everyone they turned out after that. On the other side, though, Michael Bay only produced the new Ninja Turtles movies, and while I didn't like the first one, the second one was a lot of fun. And, like, I think we ride this fine line in our culture between immediately hating something new and also giving a pass to things that are rebooting things from the past. And, like, we don't know which direction to go.
I mean, I've said this as well to folk. People are like, oh, we have no original ideas. Like, first of all, we never had original ideas.
No. Everything was adapted from something else.
Yes. And now we have people in their 30s who watched Full House and Boy Meets World and all of these shows that were rebooting. And those people are now executives in power.
Yeah.
So, yes, we're in a super nostalgic streaming on Netflix persona.
Yeah.
But it's partially because we were those kids.
Yeah, well, I mean,
who now
all
wanna
of
see it.
creation has gone, like, at least in this modern sense now that we have, like, television and movies and things, like, we have this 30-year cycle. Like, we've gone through, like, the very deep nostalgia for the 80s, and in the 80s they had a deep nostalgia for the 50s. There's a really great YouTuber. Her name is Lindsay Ellis, and she talks about the 30-year cycle. She has an incredible review, breakdown analysis of the Transformers films, and, like, breaks it down from, like, feminist theory and filmic shorthand. Like, it's so good. She is an incredible, talented analyst and creator of content. Her breakdown of the Hobbit trilogy is incredible, like, top to bottom, really good. But yeah, like, that 30-year cycle is just going to happen. Like, we're already starting to see the beginnings of, like, 90s nostalgia as we're moving into, like, the 2020s. And I think that's fine,
Yeah.
because we all grow and change. And, like, I'm super pumped for Marvel movies forever. I mean,
but also the reality is, like, for Transformers, like, how upset can you be about a property that was created to sell toys? I mean, the original cartoon was made for that reason.
Yeah.
It was to sell the toys. Same for G.I. Joe. So for people to go, that's not my G.I. Joe, that's not my Transformers, it's like, yes, it is. They just want to sell things. That's all they ever wanted to do.
The preciousness of things that we loved as children, I think, is fascinating, and what we choose to like cling to.
Well, also because you're an adult person getting upset about something that is being geared towards a child. You're not a child, and that's fine, and you're allowed at whatever age to like something.
Iris Explosion recently posted
Thundercats.
about
The Thundercats,
Yes, that it's being made in a similar style.
It looks
to
like Steven Universe.
Steven Universe,
Yeah.
and it's going to focus on comedy, but it's still. First of all, the entire dialogue and scripts of the original cartoon were laughable. They were terribly acted, terribly written. So the fact that this new one's leaning into comedy is not for me. Right, but it's not for me.
We're too self-aware.
Yeah. Like, for me, I don't like the Teen Titans Go. I liked the regular Teen Titans modern cartoon. But Teen Titans Go isn't for me, so it doesn't matter. And that's my theory about the Thundercats. Also, the Thundercats had a gritty reboot 4 years ago, and no one watched it. So they canned it. And so to get so upset about something that's going to be geared towards kids and going to sell well better if it's geared towards kids, like, let it go.
I mean, there's a really good animation that I shared about that. It's, it's like, hi, I'm Lion. And
Yes.
I'm a cartoon for children. I'm not for you, 40-year-old man. What you're mad at is not me. It is the broken capitalist society that you live. It's so good. It's like a scathing like review of like these dudes just being so mad. I'm like, this is for babies. Get over it. It's for babies.
You can like it, but it's not for you.
Let the babies have it.
It was formative.
Yeah.
And it had its place for you. It had its purpose for you.
Yeah.
And you don't got to go back. Like, you can just say, oh, that's...
Yeah. Also, it doesn't erase the existence of those things.
Yeah. Do you think we're afraid... I mean, to get super theory at the moment. Do you think we're afraid of not being nostalgic? Because then we have to identify with what's happening right now?
I mean, it could be part of it. I mean, anyone living in the U.S. where we are knows that this place is kind of a shithole right now. Yeah. So it could be a form of escapism for sure.
I mean, I think... It's an easy emotion. You can be happy about something or you can be mad about it or I mean, obviously there's emotions in the middle there. But it's, I think, anger, and not even really anger, because yes, there is some, like, viciousness on the internet, and there's, like, there are YouTube videos that are probably, like, screaming, crying children about the Thundercats or what have you. But also... I can't get, like, no one cares that much.
No.
We're just using language that implies that we care this much. And we're entitled to our own opinion. We're so entitled. We're entitled to a point of exhaustion where we don't like when something isn't for us.
Yeah.
And we're mad when it's not for us. Yeah. And yes, that's also, like, part of toxic masculinity. That's part of our privilege. That's part of a middle class situation or what have you.
Totally.
But I mean, there have always been things that were not geared towards us. Like, this is just what it is. I mean, there's. I know I just mentioned Shudder, but I said there are how many subcategories of horror, because there are some people who are going to want to go right to the torture porn, and some that are going to go right to the paranormal. Right. If we break that up into a much larger issue. Why are you so mad that there's also a paranormal category if you're not going to click it? Just don't click it.
Yeah.
It's like, it's okay.
You don't have to consume.
And I know that's like a really dumbed down analogy, but it's...
But it's true. You don't have to consume everything.
You grew up with how many freaking channels that you never clicked on?
Yeah.
You didn't like cooking shows?
Yeah.
You never had to watch a fucking cooking show. And I doubt you got that mad that cooking shows existed.
No.
I wonder if it's a lot to do with the way things are marketed and promoted, and even in the bare, like, bones of creating a movie, like how shit's written by committee these days, where it's like, how do we appeal to the largest number of people when that's the aim? Like when DC's trying to copy the Marvel Cinematic Universe because they're making a lot of money and it's very appealing to massive crowds, and then, like, they miss the plot entirely, but, like, at the heart, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to appeal to the largest number of people, and now that we have, I don't know what to call it, like, marketing privilege where we're supposed to like everything, or it's if we don't enjoy something or something's not for us, something is intrinsically wrong with us. Like, I didn't like the new Star Wars movie. Like,
Get out. No.
But no, I know. And it's so weird that this movie about space wizards is so divisive to people, you know, and like the new Ghostbusters broke the internet for a bit.
Well, I think
no one thinks about it
a promotional photo.
Yeah.
Like before it even
had any contact. Well, I think it comes from the overwhelming amount of access we have to people, to celebrities, to directors. Like the fact that I could tweet at let's say Steven Spielberg, because I don't think George Lucas is on Twitter. But Steven, I could tweet. I love that.
That's the only difference. Like that's the only. Oh, okay.
Oh,
well, for the example, like if Steven Spielberg's on Twitter and I hated Ready Player One, I could reply him. He may not see it. But I can do it, and it will go to his account.
Yes.
And like that, but why would I? He's not going to care what I think, or maybe he does. But like, we don't deserve that direct access.
But also, why do you want him to know?
Yeah.
Right. Like, why? So I've always had this theory about the projects that I've worked on is I support and lift up the people I like. If I don't like your work, I just won't support it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to tell people it sucks. You know, when I was doing my music review show, we would say if we didn't like something, but the words "it sucks" was never really a thing unless it was really terrible. It would be like, "This isn't for me," or "Here's why functionally it's not creative because it's this repetitive thing, like relying on facts." The problem is most internet arguments about movies don't rely on facts.
Yeah.
No, it's all emotion and opinion.
Yeah, it's emotionally charged, and I think that's
none of us should be Supreme Court justices.
No.
Oh gosh, no.
Definitely not. But also, RGB needs to live forever. So
please live forever. Please live forever. Please
we'll
never
be so
die.
screwed.
I'm
Have you
really
seen
excited
I haven't seen
for the
it
documentary.
My mom saw it, and she said it was really good.
I heard it. I heard very good things about it. I have not seen it yet. All right. Well, before we wrap up, and I appreciate that this conversation was mostly about movies in the movie industry and less about us rambling on about ourselves.
Yeah.
Lord knows I can talk about myself forever.
You have other podcasts for that.
I do. It's true. But I wanted to ask. Asking someone their favorite movie is really hard, I think, because there's so many different movies. Like, people would ask me what my favorite album of all time is, and I'd go,
Can you go by genre?
I can sometimes. But so, like, you mentioned...
I can go by performance.
So, if I were to ask you, what's one of the most memorable movies you've seen and why? So not necessarily your favorite, but something that sticks out.
See, I actually have a favorite.
Oh, you do? All right,
do.
Then give us your favorite movie and why.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, Clue.
Clue. Okay.
Clue, and I am one of those people who doesn't care that there's a remake in the works.
Okay.
Because there's been a remake in the works for most of my adult life.
Yeah, they've come back to it several times.
They've done this with Rocky Horror. Yeah. They've done this with other properties that I care very much about. I don't care.
Yeah.
You're not going to ruin my day if
the other movie still exists.
If Taylor Swift covers some September by Earth, Wind and Fire. Okay, fine. I don't care.
Yeah, who cares?
I don't care. I probably will see it.
Yeah.
But, so Clue, to me, is the perfect storm of well-written script, extraordinary performers. There's not a single person that from the butler to the singing telegram girl who doesn't know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
It is full of veteran neo legends in our scene. Eileen Brennan, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, these extraordinary actors who they could have not done any other film besides this one, and you wouldn't know that was unusual for them to look like that.
Right.
They fall into these characters
so well. Yeah.
Madeline Kahn, I don't think has ever been brunette again. But that's such an iconic look.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The choices that they made cinematically extraordinary. The song choices that they made. The score. John Morris's score is brilliant. And you can get the soundtrack in very limited quantities. When it came out, I bought 3. I bought one for myself to open, one for my best friend who would lose her mind when I gave it to her, and one to keep wrapped. and I am not a collector in that way.
Right.
But I was like, there are only so many copies of this. It's also interesting that as much of a fan I am of Madonna and Rocky Horror and musicals or things like that, that all of that has a lot of wealth to each of them. Like, they all have stories. Like, you can research the making of a Rocky Horror. There are still production shots that are still getting released as coffee table books.
Yeah.
There's like Madonna has decades of stories to go into. You can have favorite eras. Musical theater it's so subjective. With Clue, not only did no one make that movie and document it, there's almost nothing. Like, there's almost nothing about the making of that movie.
Yeah.
There aren't HBO features,
Nope.
Featurettes. There is no audio commentary. Yes, there's a trailer which shows there are scenes that were filmed that aren't in the final. There is a fourth ending that you can read about in the book adaptation, but there's like one photo available from that scene.
Yeah.
Like, there's nowhere to go with it. And I think that that's both a challenge, because I love to see production stills and things that I've never seen before, but it also doesn't get muddled by any of that as well.
It just is what it is.
It just is that.
Yeah.
And yes, there are issues with the film in terms of it doesn't work. For in terms of the who kills whom where they are. I understand that. However, I can justify and explain away all of those if you give me enough time, because I will.
Unfortunately, we don't have enough time.
I know. I can explain to you exactly how they work.
Yeah.
And me and my best friend Gretchen Violetta, who started in White Elephant when I started it, we have it is to us. This film that just keeps on giving, because we can just talk about it. We can actually go line by line.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that film. I don't remember when I first saw it. I know I must have seen it on
TV a lot.
It was. I probably saw it on either Channel 11 or Channel 9 in New York, because it was on TV a lot. But
Chopped to pieces, but it was there.
I just remember the line that always stood out to me, because he was a stepping stone the whole movie, and then at the very end when he's the hero, Michael McKean, but at the very end of the true ending, he's like, "Now I'm gonna go home and have sex with my wife."
Yes.
Like, it's just, that line always stood out to me because of how he stepped on the whole movie. He's this coward, and then suddenly he's actually this brave police officer who is undercover.
And that we're meant to believe is gay the whole time as well.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just so. But also, the funny thing about that movie is I never remember him being gay being the punchline. It was him being gay made things he do, either explained things that he did or explained his relationships with certain people.
Right.
But it was never a punchline.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
Yeah.
That
in fact, the only
was.
real time they do that is he looks at Christopher Lloyd at one point, and he just gets up to start his next conversation.
Yeah.
Because he just realized he came out as homosexual. Keeping in context of the era.
Yeah.
And also keeping in context that, and again, I will not go into this because we only have so much time, because the internet has only finite resources.
Right.
Him saying, "I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife," happens in front of the cops. There's no reason to believe he's not still gay.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's true. Yeah, that's true. It's him saving face amongst his job and all that.
It's all discussable. And that also is one of the great things about it as well, is that it is one of those properties where you can say, okay, so Yvette goes into the billiard room and it's pitch dark. She goes in there and yes, okay, spoiler alert, she gets killed. But A, is she surprised who's in the billiard room? Because she says, it's you. Was it who she was expecting to meet there? Why was she going to meet them there? And what is that all? And also, did you notice she doesn't have an accent suddenly in that scene? Like, there's so much there. There's so much there.
We may have to do a spin-off podcast that's just about Clue.
It's so good. It's so good. And all of the endings it makes sense for.
Yeah,
because
of course.
It doesn't even have to make sense. I mean, she could still be going to see Miss Scarlet, because we know that she's connected to Miss Scarlet in a way. She could, so when Miss Scarlet is the killer, okay, she thought she was meeting Miss Scarlet. Oh, it ends up being Mrs. White? She thought she was still meeting Miss Scarlet.
Yeah.
Oh, she thought it was Wadsworth because Wadsworth is in on all of this. Oh, but it ends up being so. I mean, it all works. It all works.
That's true.
That's my
I
favorite
appreciate
movie.
that.
Yeah.
I'll have to revisit it.
It makes me very
I haven't
happy
seen
and
it in a
tingly.
while.
It's true. So as we wrap up,
Yes.
I would like to ask you the question that I'm going to ask all of our guests. If you had to choose one movie trope to be real in your life, what trope would that be?
I would like, at any opportunity when I have a ridiculous situation that I have to be available for, that I can just have any proper outfit readily accessible to me because it makes sense for that next scene. That is when I'm rewatch. I watch I Love Lucy a lot on Hulu because it's good background, and she lives in a New York apartment and in a converted brownstone.
In the East River, by the way.
Yeah.
And somehow manages to have ridiculous access.
Yeah.
In fact,
Love
there's
it.
a whole movie, there's a whole theory that her father's a mob boss. If you ever look that up, it's actually quite
Interesting.
entertaining.
Very
It's like, how else can you explain how easily she gets a baby elephant? But but yeah,
That's good.
I appreciate the ability to suddenly have, oh, I need to go and pretend that I'm I don't know, a Southern gentleman. Well, suddenly, all this time, I have had that suit in my closet. Why wouldn't I? Yeah.
That's a good one. That's good. As a burlesque performer, I feel like too.
Very useful.
Very
Yeah.
useful. So useful.
Very useful. I mean, as long as there aren't conditions.
Right. Then it gets muddy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Victor, for joining us.
Victor.
This has been a pleasure.
My absolute pleasure.
I do have to shout out your Hocus Pocus shirt that you're
Yeah,
wearing.
very good.
I saw they have during Halloween. I was there last year in Disney World. They do a special Hocus Pocus show that is hosted by the Three Witches.
You can see it online.
And the actors playing them are very good. And I forgot how much I love Sarah Jessica Parker's character until the actress on stage ran around going, amok, 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 amok. But thank you for joining us. This has
Yes,
been a
my
pleasure
pleasure.
as always. Please check out Victor's podcast, We Burlesque. I've been a guest. Maybe someday Rachel will be a guest.
Maybe.
Not to put
I
you on
play
the
my
spot.
cards right.
But please check that out. He's done a lot of great interviews, and I'm not just saying that because I've been on it. He's also done some great roundtables where he gets the lay of the land of the current burlesque scene, either talking about people's burlesque moms or stuff that had happened earlier this year with RuPaul's Drag Race and just all sorts of really great conversations. So please check that out. It airs every week, right?
It comes out every Monday.
Every Monday.
Yes.
Monday.
Depending on my schedule, either I will upload it like early AM on a Monday or by afternoon, depending on when I get, because I edit it myself and I usually delay editing up until the final hour.
Of course.
So
like any proper editor.
Well, because it's the only time I listen to it.
That's fair.
I don't listen to it in the car.
That's fair.
Or,
And then, of course, you can see him every week at Rock Bar NYC for White Elephant Burlesque.
all of that can be found at weburlesque.com because we got a lot going on. We have the podcast.
Yes.
I'm now in Brooklyn.
You have a Patreon.
Yeah.
Just go check it out there
Yeah.
and sign up for everything. Say yes to everything. It's worth it.
Follow everything he does.
And, of course, thank you for listening. This has been our pilot episode of Screen Snark. We look forward to hearing from you guys. We have stuff across all the social medias. Just look up Screen Snark or _Screen Snark, and you can find us. It's been a pleasure talking at you, and enjoy the movies.
And cut.
Lap dissolve.
Exactly.
Starlight.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Hey there, movie fans. It's your other co-host, Rachel Schenk. I wanted to say not only thank you so much for listening to episode 1 of Screen Snark, also a huge thank you to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble. So go out there, find John Presnell, give him a listen, go love his album, and we'll see you at the movies.